All right. Hey, everyone. Mark here, Mark P Markets. Thank you for joining me for another Bitcoin video session, and welcome. If you're new here, let me explain how this works. Hey, Savi, how you doing? Good to see you. Um, yeah, I'm trying to run here on time a bit. So if you're new, welcome. Let me explain to you how this works real quick. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to run through the economic calendar, right, so that we're aware of what kind of events that can change things dramatically this week. Second, I'm going to run through my Bitcoin analysis very quickly that I wrote about in my TradingView article yesterday, right? So hopefully you read that, but we'll talk about any kind of changes or any kind of relevance there. And then we're going to jump right into the chart and see if we could find trades, because that's really what I want to do here is look for trade ideas on the smaller time frames and show you how the Trade Scanner Pro can help you with that process. All right, so with that being said, let's get started. Let me put my little slide up here. All right, so this is for educational purposes only. For investment advice, please consult a licensed investment advisor. All right, now, so first thing, let's do the economic calendar. By the way, if you want to share what city or what country you are from, that's always a fun fact. I'm streaming from the greater New York City area, also known as Northern New Jersey, and the weather stinks here. So, Savi, it's good to see you. All right, from Brooklyn, and see who else we got. Stop fooling around. Hey, stop fooling around. Stop fooling around. All right, good to see you guys. Thanks for taking some time with me here today. So hopefully you can learn something. Also, please press the like button and subscribe button if you like the content. Now, economic calendar, real quick. So first thing we have is tomorrow, we have Chairman Powell testifies. All right, this is it could be a dramatic event, right? Usually he goes to Congress and they ask him a lot of stupid questions and then he's got to answer them. Plus, he's not exactly aligned with the current administration. So there may be surprises or things that the market may like or not like. The point is there can be dramatic moves as a result of whatever he says. So this means something for you going into tomorrow's market and also for the week. All right, so that's tomorrow. Now, I don't know exactly what time he begins his testimony. I believe it's like around 10 a.m., but you want to double check on that. So that's tomorrow. Also, that's tomorrow. Then on Wednesday, we have Chairman Powell testifying again. So again, there's going to be drama, possibly. There could be range expansions. Also, at 8:30 a.m. Eastern time on Wednesday, we have the CPI report. So we have CPI, and then we have Chairman Powell testifying. So a lot of potential drama, okay, between those two events. Now, on Thursday, we have, I believe it's the PPI report. I believe it's on Thursday. And I think so. And on Friday is retail sales. That's right. So Thursday is PPI. I believe that's an 8:30 number as well. Double check the timestamps. And then on Friday is retail sales. Those reports are not as important as the Chairman Powell testimony and the CPI report, which is coming out on Wednesday. So be aware of these events in your economic calendar and make sure you know the timestamps. Hey, Milad, how are you? Good to see you from New York. He's the only guy from New York City who watches me, besides Savi. But Savi's in Brooklyn, so it's not exactly the same thing. They're in the same state, but it's not exactly the same thing. All right, anyway, good to see you guys. And Nubbs, good to see you. All right, from Minnesota. See, I have a good memory. Anyway, so I'm sure it's colder there. It's probably worse in Minnesota than it is here in North Jersey. So, I do feel bad for you. All right, so that's the economic calendar. We went through that. Let's now talk about this Bitcoin situation, shall we? Now, you see my charts here. I'm going to make my charts bigger. Hold on. So there we go. And we're going to begin with this daily time frame over here. This is Bitcoin. So I wrote about this in my article. And this price action has been very tough to deal with, especially if you're on smaller time frames. Oh, you got the sun out in Minnesota. At least it's better than nothing, right? So here's the thing with Bitcoin. In this environment, you don't want to get caught up with opinions. You don't want to get caught up with the drama and what people are saying. I mean, every week it's like a new thing, right? Like, oh, they're going to have a Bitcoin fund or some kind of sovereign wealth fund, and they're going to put Bitcoin in it. All this nonsense. Do not be moved by that. All you have to do, and I talk about this every week. That's why I stream every week to remind you. There's only two things, trend and levels. I know that it seems simplistic, but if you focus just on those two things, you will be better off than most people because you're more in line with the actual market. Remember, markets move on sentiment, which is basically a large group of people, their belief of what is likely in the future, or what the perception of the future. That is how valuations are set. No other way. So if the perception of the future looks good, prices are going to go higher. If it doesn't look so good, prices are going to go lower. It doesn't matter what the asset is actually valued at. It doesn't matter what the actual value is, because the value is going to change based on perception. So with that, we can use trend and we can use support and resistance levels to kind of get a sense of how participants are likely to react in the near future. And we want to capitalize on those reactions. That is what we do as traders and investors. Now, well, people that want to actually do this properly. You can gamble and lose like most people, and you can also follow a lot of fake gurus that'll have you doing the same thing. So with that said, when it comes to trend and levels on Bitcoin, especially on this daily time frame, the trend hasn't changed, okay? The trend is bullish. Hasn't changed. We zoom out a bit. This is not bearish. There's nothing bearish about this. We have, higher highs up to basically 109, and then this consolidation is a higher low consolidation. Higher lows typically lead to higher highs. In fact, we can call this a wave 4. Like I had wave 4 labeled back here, but this whole thing is a wave 4. Typically, this is what wave 4s look like. If this is a wave 4, and if 90K continues to hold and be the range support, which is what it is right now, then sometime in the near future, higher highs are favored. That's where the probability is. So if you're going to place bets, you're going to gamble on this, and most altcoins follow this, by the way. That's why I talk about Bitcoin all the time. If you know Bitcoin, pretty much your altcoin is going to follow unless there's very specific news on that altcoin. Now, since we know our general trend is bullish, but our midterm trend, which goes back a few months here, is range bound, we want to know basically we want to place a probability on the range somehow. We can break the range up into sections, right? I mean, we could break this up into 3 sections. I could just draw a line over here like this, and we have 3 sections, right? We have the lower section, we have the mid section, right? Which is this area over here, this area here. And then we have the upper section, this range up in here. And we can assign risk to those sections and a probability to those sections. So the lower 90K region, which is like basically 94, 93, 92, that area, that is a support area. That's the range low. The higher, this is the higher low consolidation range low. That means probabilities for longs are going to be greater. Why? Because this location is going to attract more buying activity. And we can see that evidence just going back a few months. A lot of buying activity. Look at all of these tails, 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 tails all over the place. That's buying activity expressed in candles, on daily candles. So at some point it may break, but we can't forecast that break. If the market breaks, there'll likely be a catalyst behind it. Who knows what that can be? Maybe another AI thing comes out and freaks out the market again. Who knows? That comes out of nowhere. There's no way to forecast that. So when we get back into this zone, if we do, and that's what I was anticipating this week, and we were trying yesterday, but it reversed pretty quickly, as you can see. If we can get back into that zone, longs are what you should be thinking, unless it breaks. So how do we deal with that? Well, for one, you can be very aggressive and you can place limit orders somewhere in 93, 92, whatever, but it's very risky because that one time it breaks, you may get caught in it. And next thing you know, you buy it at 92 with a limit order and it's at 89 the next day. That can happen. That's a risky thing, but you could basically bet on the probability and say, well, probability favors that support will hold. So I feel comfortable and I'm taking a small position. If it breaks, then I'm going to lose 3,000 or 4,000 points, but it's a small position. If it doesn't break, I'll add to it. That's one way to go about a swing trade in this type of situation. Now notice I'm emphasizing this area here, right? Not up here. I'm emphasizing this area, which is basically below 94K, and we're not there right now. So the other way to go about doing this is you wait for the location to be tested, you wait, and then you use a form of confirmation. You wait for some form of confirmation. There are a number of ways you can do that. The Trade Scanner Pro provides one way to do that. Waiting for confirmation means you're not going to get the best price, but you're aligning yourself with the probability. So if a confirmation develops, like these tails, look at these pin bars. Like the pin bar that went to, what is this, 90K basically, this pin bar right here. In a situation like that, if you were waiting on the daily chart, you never got a signal. I mean, by the time a signal came, you were all the way up here. There was a huge opportunity in there, right? The Trade Scanner Pro would have given you confirmations on smaller time frames in this region if you knew to look for that and you had it set up for that, right? And if you don't want to use the Trade Scanner Pro, you can use candlestick patterns on smaller time frames, but you know your location. You know why you're looking for long reversals in this location. Again, you're not going to get the best price, but you're aligning yourself with the probability, right? Now, so that's basically the plan that I'm looking at, and I would like to use a Trade Scanner Pro for my confirmation if price can work its way back into this zone sometime during the week. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. There's certainly a lot of drama planned ahead, so there is a possibility that we can test such levels between the Chairman Powell testimony, between CPI, things like that. That's enough of a catalyst to get this thing going, possibly. Now, keep in mind, if price tests this area, if price looks like this, it's not going to look pretty, okay? It's going to be a nasty red candle. And if that candle closes like that, then we're likely in trouble at that point, right? If the candle closes like this, you're likely to see a candle that looks like this. So that's why it helps to wait for confirmation, because if it's going to reverse, the candle should not close like this, like a solid red candle. As you can see here, right? Pin bar. Look at this. I mean, is this a solid red candle? Kind of, but it still has a tail on the bottom of it, followed by a quick green candle the next day. Look at this one. Red candle, but pin bar, right? These are not solid red candles. They're red, but they're dojis, or they're spinning tops. They're not dojis. They're more like spinning tops. So that's not the same as a solid red candle, or like a bearish engulfing candle type situation, right? So that's what you should be looking for this week, especially in light of the news that's on the schedule. Now, that brings me to where we are now. That's why I drew this illustration on the chart, because this is the type of price action I'm anticipating. I'm not always right on these illustrations, but it's a pretty good guide if you go back and look at all my previous TradingView articles. What's going on here in the chat? Let me see. I see some questions. Daniel from Nigeria. Hey, Daniel, welcome. Farhat, how are you? Can you check Litecoin? All right, so if I get a chance, before we go to the Trade Scanner Pro, I'll take a quick look. Hey, Roy, good to see you. Malad, if, for example, I pull a limit order at 92.5 and it breaks, should the stop loss be at 89.5? By the way, I got caught in dodgy break with similar concept. Okay, so, right. See, the thing is, look, I've done lots of experimenting with putting limit orders in advance. And let me tell you, like when it works, yeah, it works. But you open yourself up to that possibility of the break, and eventually you're going to get caught in a break. So the only way to mitigate that is with a stop. There's no other way, or very small size. And if it breaks beyond a certain point, you just blow it out and be like, all right, but you took like a 0.01 or like a tiny lot, like a nano lot. And, and it breaks, okay, no big deal. And then with a plan to add to that nano lot, if it does not break and it sustains itself, right? But it's a tricky game. So to answer your question, Milad, this question here is, if 92.5 breaks, should the stop loss be 89.5? Well, let's see. We can answer that question by looking at the chart, or something like the Trade Scanner Pro can give you a stop loss as well when a signal or a confirmation appears. That's one of the nice things about it. We'll talk about that more when I get to the Trade Scanner Pro. Now, 89.5 is obviously this low. It's around here. What is that? That's 89 even, right? That low right here that I just pointed out is 89 even. So you can use that as a reference point, because really, price really, if 90K is going to hold, then 89K should not be touched. So you might want to put it at like 88,750 or something like that. Or I'm sorry, 88,750. Or if you want to put it right at 89, the problem with the whole numbers is sometimes things get extreme. It touches, taps you out, and reverses right there, right? So sometimes you want to give it a little extra room. But again, it's a random game. There's no precise place where I could say your stop is safe, because it's not. Right? So you have to decide, can you handle that risk? Maybe you size smaller. So you say, okay, I can handle that. And if it turns around or it shows me signs of turning around, I'll add to it. Right? If we're moving away from that area, like for example, we get another massive pin bar in this area, and let's say Doji coin will look similar to this, right? And then you get another massive pin bar, something like this. You're long because you stepped into it, and then you add to it on the breakout. You add to it. Right. And then you're not going to have the best price as you add to it, but at least you have confirmation, and at least you know other people are buying. You're not caught in the break. Right. Makes sense? So I hope that answers your question. Now, let me talk about where we are now. This location here, like I said before, we could break this area into regions, right? So we're price right now is inside this mid region. All right, no problem, Milad. This mid-region, as we all know, and I've talked about this many times, is a highly random area on this time frame. So trades here are just a bad idea on both sides, because it's random. You're flipping a coin. It can go either way. Maybe it goes lower, maybe it goes higher. That doesn't help. That doesn't help anyone, especially you when you put money in that thing, right? So the only way to play this area, in my opinion, is on smaller time frames, because there's plenty of information in this location. Look at the candles. Just going back a few days. Look at this. There's clearly some type of range low in this area. Clearly, look at all these tails. And there's some type of range high in this area. So you can play that range, but it has to be like on a small time frame, 5-minute, 15-minute, and you're not looking for anything spectacular. You're just trying to take small bites. That's the day trader game. And that's a game where the Trade Scanner Pro can be very useful if you know what you're looking for in this area. But keep in mind, it's a highly random area. At some point, it's going to break. And who knows which way? Maybe it breaks lower, maybe it breaks higher. Don't play that game, because you're likely to get caught if you're sitting there trying to anticipate the break. Instead, play the levels inside the range, which we're going to do here with the Trade Scanner Pro in a moment. And I think you're better off. Now, as far as the upper region of Bitcoin, and many of your altcoins can be broken up this way as well, because I looked at some of these charts. They all look very similar. Some are a little stronger, some are a little weaker, but they're all still generally following Bitcoin, unless, of course, there's specific news coming out about something like, XRP, blah, 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 court case, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, okay, XRP is going to do something unusual, right? Because that's specific to XRP. But in general, if there's no news, they all seem to be following the same pattern here. Now, the upper region. This is an area where you should be thinking about taking profits, at least something off the table. Now, remember, the bigger picture is bullish. So there's still a chance that this thing breaks out and goes to a new high, which would be a broader wave 5. That is still within reason. But betting on that, especially like, buying it now and saying, oh, yeah, it's going to break out. Maybe, maybe not. Right? So the upper region is a place to reduce risk, take something off the table. And for those who are aggressive, you can look for shorts in this area right here, which again is extremely aggressive because you're going against the probability at that point. But for short-term movements, look at all this action up here. A lot of shorting opportunities that could deliver small profits if you understand what you're looking for and understand the limitations of it, right? So that's what I would be thinking up here. I don't short Bitcoin personally, I'm not the spot market. If I do anything, it's with the perpetual futures, and it's for day trades, because I'm not going to get caught in the breakout when this thing runs to 113 or whatever. That's why I'm very, very, very conservative with that sort of thing, because this thing is generally bullish, right? So you have to respect that, and you have to understand what that means at certain levels. So pretty much I reviewed here, these three regions and what your thought process should be in these regions. We're nearer the lower region, so this is going to be more buyer friendly soon if it can get in there. Right now, anything goes up in this region, possible, take profit area, or possible short if you're aggressive enough and you're experienced enough to know how to manage that. All right, so that's my Bitcoin outlook. Let me know if you have any questions about it. So let's do Litecoin real quick, because I had one request. I could fit one request in here. So we'll take a look at LTC, USD. I'll do the Tether version. I mean, it's the same thing. So, I mean, look, like I was just saying with Bitcoin, does this look similar? It looks very similar, right? Yeah, Litecoin. Same deal. We're in it's general bullish trend. I mean, let's zoom out a bit. Let's go to a weekly real quick and just see what the weekly story looks like here. Right? This thing broke out. It's just like Bitcoin, all that other stuff. We have a support in this area here. We have an old range that was broken out over here. Notice the range breakout, this breakout is now acting as a support basically. What is Litecoin at these days? 120. Wow. All right. So you're consolidating near the higher part, which is similar to that wave 4, like on Bitcoin. It's the same deal. And maybe you get a breakout here, right? These highs. It's the same story. Maybe you get a breakout at 141, something like that. You push into, what's the high here? 150. What is that? 147, not even 150. Right? And that would be your area to basically look to get out. Because if this thing runs, I mean, if Bitcoin runs to 113, you figure, what's the next resistance on this thing? Let's look back a bit here. I mean, look, you're at a significant resistance level around that 150. That corresponds with that right there. And then you have like something up in here. Looks like you have some old support and resistance changes up in there, right? So this is, if there's a breakout, this is what you're looking at up in here. If there's like a wave 5 that unfolds on Bitcoin. Now, when? Who knows, right? Who knows? What is that? 170, the 170 area. So that would be a good profit objective for more of a longer term view, maybe like a 3 to 6 month view. But you're going to need catalysts to support this thing. Right now, the consolidation is a good sign for longs. New longs can be considered at the range lows, just like Bitcoin, right? If Bitcoin's testing 90Ks, I would assume Litecoin would be testing around the 90 area, which should correspond, right? That may offer an opportunity for a swing trade, possibly an investment, and you're measuring your profit objective from this area up in here. That's it. But use Bitcoin as your guide, as I tell people. Use Bitcoin, because if Bitcoin breaks, this thing's breaking too. This thing does not lead. Litecoin is not a leader. So keep that in mind. All right, so good question. And we get to see some comparisons. It's good to see. All right, let's go back to Bitcoin. Now, what I'm going to do here is we're going to go to Bitcoin perp. Right, we're going to switch over to the perpetual futures. I'm going to switch over to MEXC. It doesn't matter which one you use. Now, that's the weekly. I mean, come on. Bitcoin is actually relatively stronger than all of them. But if Bitcoin breaks that range, like I said, right, you can see it more clearly on the weekly chart. All right, now I'm going to switch this over to, first what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to a 4-hour chart. And I'm going to explain why here in a moment. Let me just clear this up so you can see what's going on. All right, just got some lines over here. Erase these lines. All right, so what I want to mention first is here, and let's move this over. Right, so I have a 4-hour chart over here, and on this side we're going to switch this to a 15-minute. Right, and it looks like there's a trade there. I'm going to turn that off for a moment. Okay, so we don't get confused. Now, let's jump over to the Trade Scanner Pro. All right. The Trade Scanner Pro, if you want to know how it works, I'm not going to explain it here. You can go, there's a link in the description where I have like a basic tutorial video that kind of goes over all those details, right? So I can save you that. You can watch that video there. Now, what I do on these streams is I demonstrate how you can use the Trade Scanner Pro each week, putting together information from your charts to come up with a trade idea, and then using the Trade Scanner Pro to confirm the idea. That is how it's meant to be used. You know, I have people who sign up for this thing, and they cancel like in 15 minutes because clearly these people, they don't know what they're doing. They're beginners, and they're expecting the Trade Scanner Pro to solve all their problems and forecast for them. That's not how it works. It's a confirmation tool. I have to emphasize this every week because if you use it like that, you're going to get random signals, just like using candlesticks. They can appear randomly, right? That doesn't do anyone any good. So you have to have a trade idea first, and then you use the Trade Scanner Pro to confirm. And that is what I demonstrate here each week. Now, hey, Slow P, how are you? So what I want to show you first, now I want to explain how to come up with a trade idea. Now, normally I jump to the small time frames, and that's where I demonstrate an example, which is what I'm going to do in a moment. But first, I want to show you how to use this more of on a swing trade perspective, because that is how I recommend beginners use this tool. So for a swing trade, now we can't sit here and wait for a swing trade because it's going to take forever, right? But I can show you how to come up with the idea. So for a swing trade, remember, before we use a Trade Scanner Pro, we have to have a time frame that we intend to trade on. So we either go in as a day trade or a swing trade, and we must know this first before we look at charts. So if you go in with the swing trade idea, again, just like with day trades, you're going to start with 2 time frames. For the swing trade time frame, we're going to use we can use a 30-minute, we can use like a 30-minute chart, okay, for our action time frame. Now I'll switch this. We could use a 4-hour or we could use a daily. You know, I'll use the 4-hour because we could see a little more detail than the daily, but you can use either one, right? The trade idea comes from the bigger picture. So I have 2 charts here. I have a bigger picture, this one, which is the 4-hour time frame, and then I have a smaller picture, which is this one, right? And that's my 30-minute chart. The smaller time frame is where I'm going to take the trade. That's where the risk is going to be defined, my profit objective is going to be defined, and my confirmation is going to appear. But I need to know which side to be working on. That comes from the bigger picture. Just like I do this with the small time frames, this is how you do it with the larger time frames. It's the same process. So I'm starting out with my 4-hour chart. And I'm looking for 2 things, trend and levels, right? So let's make this 4-hour chart bigger real quick. And we can argue that the trend here, this can be a little tricky because we have this movement up here, right? And then we have this pullback. So what is the trend? Well, on this time frame, I'm going to have to say on this time frame, it's the recent momentum is bearish because we have lower highs, right? But we don't have a lower low. We don't have a lower low than this low here. So it's mixed to somewhat changing, could be turning to bullish. Because remember, this structure here is bullish, and we never broke the low. We never went below that low, right? So it's hard to argue that this entire structure is bearish. We can argue that this more recent structure is bearish, this more recent structure, but the problem is we're not getting lower lows. If we're not getting lower lows, then it's not exactly bearish. So that can be confusing. It's unclear, right? But if I'm going to pick a side in a situation like this, I'm going to pick the bullish side because that's a higher low. Not only is that a higher low, but this entire structure, this pattern, is a compound higher low relative to this, right? So that's how I'm arriving at my trade idea. I'm trying to determine which side I should be working on. So I'm going to argue for swing trades the long side, right? Now, we just talked about on the daily chart how the 94 region or 95 region to like 99 is kind of a middle area. So it's going to be a tough area, right? That's this area over here. So I should keep that in the back of my mind. So we're generally on a pullback, and we're generally looking for longs in the lower regions of the 90Ks, right? Now, where are my support and resistance levels? Well, I have a support over here, right? And how do I determine that? I'm just looking for major reactions. This is pretty major. This is a pretty major reaction in a very short period of time. I also see a number of common tests. Look at this. There's clearly a level in there. It touched this level numerous times. Not only that, but it's relative to this price action back here. Look, more touches back here, right? So that's a level. That's clearly there's something going on there. People are buying there now for some reason. Doesn't matter why. So that's it. Those are my support levels. Resistance, we have one over here, right? Now, I don't need to put 100 levels on my chart. I just need 3 or 4. A couple of support levels, maybe a couple of resistance levels. In this case, 3 is good. I don't need to go beyond this resistance right now, right? That's all I need. So I can now come up with a trade idea because I kind of know I'm nearer a resistance. All right, do I really want to go long around here? Probably not, right? So if I'm going to look for longs as a swing trader, I should probably be looking in this area here somewhere. That would be a good area to look for longs as a swing trader. Would you guys agree? You can tell me if you don't agree. That's okay. And but you'll have to tell me why you don't agree. So this is the idea. I'm interested in longs in this area. I know this in advance. Now, this is where the Trade Scanner Pro would come into play. I have my levels drawn on this chart. Now, let me turn the Trade Scanner Pro back on. Okay. And let me turn on, when you get the Trade Scanner Pro, by the way, you have to turn off all these settings. They start out as off. So you have to turn on the trailing stop, the show previous trades, and the heads up. You got to turn them on. Make sure you do that, right? So I turned all that on. All that stuff is explained in the explainer video that, the video that's in the description. All right, now, so I know where I want to go long. In fact, look, there's the rectangle. This is the rectangle that corresponds with the one that I drew on the other chart. See how it's moving? Okay, so that's the area I want to go long for swing trades. So what do I have to do? I have to wait for the Trade Scanner Pro to give me a long somewhere in this area. Okay, right now, the trend on the Trade Scanner Pro on this 30-minute time frame is bullish. So it's looking for longs. All right, that's cool. But it's looking for longs around here right now. So here's the thing. If I get a long right now in the 15-minute, remember, we talked about the location. It's not the best location. So perhaps I can adjust for that. If I want to take the long as a swing trade from here, perhaps I go with smaller size because it's more of a 50-50 play. Understand? If we pull back into this area and I get a long signal, then I can go with my regular size. I can depend on that one more. It should be a higher probability. Now, here's the thing. If price pulls back into this area on the 15-minute, most likely the trend will become bearish on this time frame. So in order for me to get a long signal, I need to switch to counter trend mode, right? That's what I would have to do. Turn this on like this. That's what I would have to do if the trend turns. In fact, look, there's a counter trend trade that's in play right now, but we're not going to talk about that because I don't want to confuse people. And it could be random because we haven't done any analysis on that. Don't take random trades. So I'm giving you the swing trade plan. We pull back into this area, you look for longs. You can use counter trend to get a long sooner, or if you don't want to switch, if you think that's too confusing, which I understand, then what you have to do is you have to wait until this turns bullish again and then take the signal. So in order for that to happen, right, that can take a very long period of time. Here, let me show you. Something like that. If we get the pullback, right, pulls back into here, trend turns bearish, fools around a bit, okay, fools around a bit. You're not taking any counter trend. And then it does this, right? No signal yet. You will have to wait until it pulls back again. The trend does not change. And then you get the signal here, something like that. That can take hours to wait for. And you say, oh, that sucks. I'm not going to sit in front of my computer for hours. Of course you're not. So what you do instead is once you have your idea, your game plan, you simply right click and you go here, right? And you're going to add. You're going to add the notification. You pick Trade Scanner Pro on the notifications, and then it will tell you, you will get a notification. You can choose email, you can choose text, whatever you choose, and then you can go about your business. So you know your location. When a signal pops up after everything you've been waiting for, you're good to go. You have your entry, your stop, your take profit, and you can take a swing trade. That is how you use a Trade Scanner Pro on the swing trade time frame. Okay? So I can't demonstrate that here because it can take an entire day before the signal appears, especially if I'm waiting for it to appear in trend mode. Does that make sense? Hey, Alex, how are you? From Romania. I love Romania. Okay. Samuel, how are you? Agree that the POC of the range since November. Point of control. Ah, fancy word there, Samuel. All right. That's a market profile term. Market profile is a good thing to be familiar with, for sure. It helps you with levels and stuff like that, and it helps you with natural market movements. So yeah, I'm definitely a fan of market profile. All right, so you guys got that? All right, that's the swing trade plan for the Trade Scanner Pro. And the Trade Scanner Pro is serving as your confirmation tool, but you know the location in advance. And you're just waiting for the confirmation to appear rather than pulling up a chart and reacting to whatever you see. Make sense? All right. Now, let's go to the small time frame. Let's do the same. Everything that I just described to you, I'm going to do again, but as a day trade, right? So let's see how this works. I'm going to switch this to an hourly chart. The support and resistance is not going to change much. I mean, look, not really. There may be an extra level or two in there. On my hour, let's make our hourly bigger here, right? Because again, what am I looking for first? What are the two components? Let's see if you guys have been paying attention. What am I looking for? I'll let you guys answer that while I draw some levels on here. Let's see. What am I looking for? What am I looking for? Two components. What am I looking for first? I'm trying to come up with a trade idea, right? Trying to come up with a trade idea. So what am I looking for? Trend and levels, Nug said. That's correct. So again, just like before, right? We know the general trend situation. It's range bound. So I don't have to spend much time on that. That's pretty easy, right? But what I'm doing here is I'm highlighting the levels that I believe are on this time frame. So it's a little more, as you can see, there are some more levels in play. Savi, thank you for showing swing trade example. 4-hour chart for context and 30-minute. Okay, cool. No problem, Savi. Yeah, if you guys want to see more of that, let me know. I mean, we can find examples and stuff like that. I am working on instructional videos, but man, let me tell you, it takes forever for me to make videos. And I mean, I thought about hiring someone, but what the problem is with that? The problem is I would have to train them on how this works. Like, you can't chat GPT this. I have to do the charts. I have to explain everything. Even if I do a script and I read the script and I say, okay, bro, you cut this up and you put all the chart pictures, they're not going to know what to do, especially if they don't understand how this works. So I have to do it. Anyway, all right, it's just my complaint for today. So what I'm doing, trend and levels. I pretty much know the trend is range bound. Now, because now I'm working on even smaller time frames, right? I don't have to go back a couple of months to determine that we're in a broader range. I just go back a day or two. Look at this. Range bound. Lower part of the range, higher part of the range. That's it. And we also, remember that mid-region we talked about in the daily chart? Range bound. Remember that? And I said we could work with that in smaller time frames. So that's the answer. That's the trend. So in a range-bound environment, that shapes my expectations. I know that supports and resistances should generally hold. At some point, there's going to be a breakout. I don't know which way or when. So I have to assume if I'm at a support that it's going to hold until it doesn't. If I'm at a resistance, I'm going to have to assume that it holds until it doesn't, right? That's why there's always risk involved, and you have to measure the risk and know what the risk is because there's going to come a point when it breaks. Now, and when it breaks, you may be on the wrong side. Now, I drew my levels. Again, looking for reaction points. On smaller time frames, you're going to see some more reaction points. So that's what I drew here. And with all that, now I can come up with my day trade idea. So let's see. We're fooling around. It looks like we're fooling around here. This momentum is bullish. This most recent momentum, this little leg over here that I'm pointing to, is bullish, right? Clearly, higher low, higher high, right? Okay, so that's a bullish leg. We have some supports around here in this little area right here, okay? Some supports in this little area. We also have a lower high developing right here, but I'm not going to make a big deal out of that yet. I'm going to go with the general structure, which is still bullish. Like I don't see lower low broken. Like this low isn't broken yet. If this low breaks, then intraday perhaps I need to change, right? Like over here, this was a bearish movement, right? This was lower high, lower low, right? Until it reached that bottom at 94, whatever. Since then, it's just higher low, higher high. So as long as that stays intact, I'm going to have to lean on the bullish side for my day trade. Understand? Now, these aren't the best levels. These would be better levels for my day trade long, right? This area here, but we're not there. I'm still working on the long side. Now, where I will not go long is up here. This would be a bad place to go long. Those are resistance levels, right? So that's how I use that information. I'm using it to base expectations. So I have my trade idea. I want to go long. So now that brings me to my smaller time frame. This here is a 30-minute, but I'm going to switch this to a 1-minute because that's the time frame I'm going to work on as a day trader. Let's see what we have here. Now, look, we could see some previous trades. Some of these were probably winners and some of them weren't. Let's see. This one was a 253-point winner. This one was also a winner, 186. This one lost 143, right? This is what I mean by random. Like you're going to get some random, like this little random one in there. You're going to get stuff like that. We're trying to clean that up, but you know, I don't have a schedule on when I'm going to get the new version of this thing. He's still working on it. So back to this, I want to go long. We've determined that from the 1 hour. Now, guys, if you find that confusing, please let me know. Because I asked someone a week ago what they thought was hard about this. And someone basically said, well, you know, you have a lot of experience. So, you know, recognizing levels, you know, that's easy for you. Okay, there's a good point to that. I've been doing this a long time. But recognizing levels, if you just concentrate on the support and resistance levels, and just recognizing the current trend, whatever that is, or we can call it momentum. And if you just focus just on that information, you will be way better off than most people. That's all you need to focus on to come up with a trade idea. The Trade Scanner Pro takes it from there, right? And that's where you don't have to worry about confirmation because this thing gives you the confirmation. You just have to have the idea. And if the idea is aligned with those two concepts, those two components, there's a greater chance that the idea will at least offer some profit potential, right? So let me know if you find that confusing because that's the whole point of this stream. I want you to learn so that you can apply this on your own, especially if you're practicing with the Trade Scanner Pro. Maybe you're on your free trial and you know, you're on paper and you're trying to, you know, you want to have a good experience. I want you to have a good experience. I want this tool to be useful for you. But if you don't follow these instructions that I'm giving you, the tool will be useless. So understand that. All right. So we know that I'm looking for longs, right? I'm going to turn this order ladder on over here. I'm on paper, by the way. This isn't real. I'm still working on the real account situation. There's a couple of things I don't like about the DEX, you know, the decentralized exchange. But I think for the most part, it'll work for what I'm doing. So we'll see how that goes. I know I've been very slow about that, but I want to make sure I'm satisfied with all the things about it before I start sharing that because I take responsibility for things like that. I don't want to mislead people or steer them the wrong way. One thing I don't like about decentralized exchanges, at least the one that I've been dealing with, is you have to deposit your coin, right, that you're going to trade with into the exchange. And that coin, at least for me, is Arbitrum, right? So I'm in this Arbitrum position. That position is still fluctuating even if I'm not in a position. If I'm not buying or selling Bitcoin or whatever, for example, but the value of my account is still fluctuating because I'm not in USDC or USDT. I'm in Arbitrum. So you have like all these moving parts, which I don't like that too much. You know, I'd rather have a Forex account, have my money in USD, and then when I want to take risk, I can take risk. But when you're in something like one of these decentralized exchanges, you have to constantly take your money back out and then switch it back to USDC so that you're not caught in any of these fluctuations. So like, for example, if Bitcoin pulls back 10,000 points, you're going to be losing money in your position, even though you're not in anything. But you're in your base currency to trade with, in this case, Arbitrum. So that's a bit of a drawback, and it's confusing. It could be confusing for people, especially if you're not used to that sort of thing. You know, I trade futures accounts, trade Forex accounts. There's no, you know, you close your position, you're back in USD. You're not closing your position in one thing and then opening up a risk in another thing. You know what I mean? Anyway, that's my rant about that. So, but we'll get there soon with that. Anyway, so let's get into this trade idea, shall we? We're on the 1 minute, we're pulling back. Remember, the Trade Scanner Pro is a pullback tool. It looks for pullbacks. Okay, cool. So we're pulling back. My trend is still bullish. Okay, cool. So I don't have to worry about anything there. Now I'm on my 1 minute. Now, because this is a decent little pullback, my first support is like around here where this line is. All right. So it would be nice if I got a signal around there. The problem is by the time price gets to this line, the trend on this time frame may turn. Remember, on small time frames, this trend turns a lot. It changes a lot. That's one of the problems with smaller time frames. We're working on a tool. We're working actually on an upgrade where you don't have to keep looking at this little box. There'll be a status line on the bottom of the screen that will tell you what the trend is, but we're still working on it. So anyway, right now this tells you trend is bullish. Okay, cool. That means I'm waiting for a long signal. These green lines that you see, that's called the heads up. And heads up basically highlights these yellow candles. The yellow candles are a warning that a signal is likely to appear in the next 3 to 5 candles. So as you can see right now, I don't have any warning. I have nothing here. So no signal is likely anytime soon on the 1 minute. But as you guys know, who've been watching me for a while, I like to look at smaller time frames, sub 1 minute. Do we have anything here? Well, look, my trend is bearish on the 30-second. Let's go to the 15-second. I do not recommend these time frames. There was a heads up on the 15-second, but a trend turned bearish. I'm going to have to switch to counter trend to get bullish signals. Okay, and look, there's a signal as I speak on the 15-second. All right, so I'm going to try, you know what, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take one because this could be shaky, right? 15-second charts are very shaky and erratic. So I bought one contract. Remember, we were looking for longs. So if this turns out to be a random signal, at least it's on the long side. Now look on the counter trend, right? Look at all these red signals that were called. Most of these are losing trades because they were on counter trend and the trend is bullish, right? That's why you have to be very careful with counter trend. You have to understand where to use that and why you're using it. You can't just use it to use it. Otherwise, you'll run into a situation like this where you will lose constantly, right? So my plan here is to add to this position if we break out this little area. Now, keep in mind, I'm just showing you this for demonstration purposes so you can get an idea of how the script works. But making money with this or working with this in a practical market environment is not going to be easy. See, that's why I only have one lot because of that, right? Now, see that? I have to respect it. That's why I only had one lot. So you have to respect the stop losses. That's very important because this thing may have a sustained move lower, and I don't want to get caught in that. See? I don't want to get caught in that. So this is my support area. Let's see if we can get a buy signal in this area right here. Now, the Trade Scanner Pro helps me. My plan helps me because I know not to switch and go short. Some people may say, well, just go short, but I'm going short into a possible support area. I don't want to do that. I want to align with the probability. That's why you have to have that bigger picture in mind. UTXO, I don't mean to sound overly alarmist, but the stock market is about to close. Oh, okay, thanks for letting me know, UTXO. Yeah, the stock market closing can have a little bit of effect. That could be what this reaction is over here. That's typical. Thanks for the reminder. I should have checked the time. You can have this erratic price action. All right, whatever. Stopped out of 1. I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm going to buy, get the heads up. So that lets me know a signal is coming soon. Keep in mind, I'm on a 15-second chart. So this is a very hard chart to trade. It's very noisy. Things change a lot. You say, well, why are you using it? Because I want to show you examples of how the Trade Scanner Pro works. And believe it or not, I pick up a lot of good trades. If you look at my previous weeks, I pick up a lot of good trades using a 15-second or a 30-second chart with relatively low risk. I mean, what was my risk on that trade? Like 30 points probably? I don't even know. Let's see. Well, how much was the loss on that? Let's take a look here. $49. All right, so 50 points plus the commission, which was $10, right? Because that was one lot. Now, I knew that in advance. I knew it was tricky, so I went smaller. Normally, I would do 2 lots. Okay, look, got another signal. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to jump in right away. Just because a signal doesn't mean you just jump right in, not especially on this time frame. I want to see something that kind of goes with me here. All right, so I got the green candle. I'll try one. I'd like to see a break of this lower high. Now, in 15 seconds, again, I'm just kind of give you points of reference. It's really not like a dramatic thing if it breaks that because it's not really anything. All right, see, it's trying. Okay, but it's certainly like a mini bullish structure, and I like to see that. Oh, look at that. All right, I'll buy a second one. Now, I have in this trade, I have the trailing stop selected, right? So if this trade continues my way for a sustained period of time, the trailing stop will appear at this red line and it will start to follow the trade. Now, again, look, this is a 15-second chart. The price action is going to be very dramatic and very erratic. There's my trailing stop. The trailing stop now reduces my risk. Man, we're at the profit. All right, let me get out of one. Oh, wait, let me get out of one here. Okay, get out of one. All right. Now, what I was saying, I blew out of both. Oh, no, I still have one. Okay. So what I was saying is the trailing stop, if this trade continues my way, again, the profit objective is pretty easy to reach. It's on a 15-second time frame, right? So it's not going to be a very big profit objective, but it is 1.5 times whatever my risk was. So my risk on this trade is 30 points. I mean, come on. That's nothing on Bitcoin. That's like pennies, right? So my profit objective for the first one was 42 points. That's not much. If I was working on a 1 minute, these numbers would be bigger. The larger the time frame, the bigger the numbers are going to be, the risk and the reward, right? So now there are times, and I have this on video, there are times where I've taken a trade on a 15-second chart and it'll run 300 points, right? Something like that, which is decent for like a 1 minute, but I'm taking 15-second risk. So I'll risk like 30 points or whatever, 40 points to make 300. That's like 10 to 1. I have examples of that you know, from previous week's streams where you get those unusual moves. But I mean, is 300 points an unusual move? Not really. It was just like on a very small time frame. So this is very advanced, right? What I'm showing you here is advanced, and I do not expect you to use a Trade Scanner Pro like this. I just want you to see it in action. That's why I do this. Right? So look, my trailing stop is trying to reduce my risk. If this trade, if the market can stay above that buy price and just stay afloat there without going to the stop, the trailing stop will eventually go break even, and I'll have a risk-free trade. The advantage of the trailing stop is it will keep you in trades longer than you normally stay in. and help you capture much larger movements than you normally would, because these movements are random. There's no way to know. I have no idea if this thing's going to run 500 points or 50 points. No idea. All I know is I'm looking for longs. And now the Trade Scanner Pro handles everything else for me. No more decision making for me, except if it goes here, I bang it out. That's the only decision. Or if we go to the trailing stop, I bang it out. That's it. Now, if you look at my P&L from week to week, just on this practice account, it's generally positive. Okay, yeah, I have some losing trades, and I have some losing days. I only trade that account, by the way, most of the time. It's a practice account on TradingView. I set it up at $1,000, and I only trade it during these streams. I don't trade my practice account otherwise. Usually, I don't, unless I'm experimenting with something, but usually I don't, right? So let's see if this trade holds up. One great thing about these streams is you can see how to manage trades in real time. And when I'm doing this just with real money, by the way, which I'm not right now, but when I do, you'll see the fluctuations will be much smaller. Like I'll be working with a fraction of a Bitcoin, not a full Bitcoin or 2 Bitcoins. I have to make that clear, because the P&L over here may look spectacular. Ooh, you're minus $300 or you're plus $300, right? In reality, that would be more like $30. A $30 trade would probably be a great trade. That's 3% of $1,000 account, right? And that's what I would be working with. So let's see if this trade can hold up. If it holds, oh man, it moves so fast. I can't even finish talking. I was going to add to it. I was going to buy more, but I'm not going to buy it now. This is where the profit objective is where I should be selling, not buying. So the trailing stop is keeping me in. So far, it's trying to act on the long side. Let's take a look at a 30-second chart. Maybe it's a little less. Maybe it's a little more stable. Not really. Let's take a look at that 1 minute chart. Anything here? I've been getting look at all the heads up on the 1 minute. Look at this. Heads up on the 1 minute. A 1 minute signal is likely to appear soon. That's what that tells me. So I can prepare. Oh, 1 minute signal coming. Okay. Now, if I get I'm in from the 30-second, 15-second chart. You saw that. Again, I'm jumping time frames here. And yes, that's confusing, but try to follow here. Try to follow along. If I get a signal on my 1 minute, I can justify an add. I will add one if I get the 1 minute. Now, the 1 minute I'll have a greater expectation of, and my stop is going to be wider. But if we get a run, we may run up to here at least, which is reasonable. Farhat, can you analyze the Bitcoin dominance chart and give your thoughts? Well, now I'm in the trade, so I'm not going to do that now. I appreciate the question, though. Bitcoin dominance, I'm not really a fan of it. I know some people like to use it, and I know it's mentioned a lot, but I have not found it to be useful at all. It's pretty like obvious information for me, I mean, and the chart technical analysis on Bitcoin dominance, I don't know if it's really going to add much value to stuff that I could tell from just a regular Bitcoin USD chart and looking at support and resistance levels. Because again, I'm just looking at what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to anticipate how people will react, right, in the future over small periods of time. That's really all I'm doing here. Okay, I'm back to my 15-second. I don't know, my trade closed, or maybe it changed because I changed the chart. I don't know. But if it goes below this line, the signal's not on the chart anymore. If it goes below that line, I'm just going to get rid of it. I only have one lot on. See, it's a good thing I was not such in a hurry to buy that second lot when it was doing something like this. See, I don't like this, but I'll tell you what I do like is I'm getting a heads up again. So I may get another signal here on the 15-second. This is typical on a 15-second chart where it may retest a level numerous times and give numerous signals. A lot of random price action here. I'll give it a try. I'm still in my one. I haven't banged out of the one. If I get a signal here, which is very likely, I'll try to add. Let's see. Let's see. In the next candle or two, I should get a signal based on the heads up. All right, so you see how this works? Yeah, Farhat, as far as Bitcoin dominance, I mean, I don't know what to tell you about that, really. Like, that's I would consider that more of a fundamental piece of information, Bitcoin dominance. And I mean, maybe someone else could chime in on that. I know Alex is a fan of Bitcoin dominance. Alex, what do you have to say about it? Is there anything you can you steer Farhat on the right path when it comes to that? Because I would say more about it, but I don't really find it to be very relevant, for at least for my style. Maybe for investing, maybe it can have more relevance. I don't know. Right? Anyone else want to add their opinion to that? There's a community here, right? We're sharing information. Good question, though, Farhat. All right, so no signal yet, but if I get one, I'm going to add. What I like about this so far is it's not collapsing yet. All right, I got that. No signal, though. Let me check the 30-second. Nothing there. How about the 1 minute? Anything? Nothing there. I'm not going to a 5-second chart. I'm not doing it. There's probably, look, I'm going to show you there's probably a signal on the 5-second. Is there? No. Not even on the 5-second chart. I'm not going to trade a 5-second chart. It's ridiculous. Like, let's talk about a waste of time. All right. So this is just erratic price action. We're not getting anything. Notice, we're not at this support level yet. We're not there yet. But that's still a support level. So price is sort of it's giving us a lower high situation. This is definitely a bearish structure on this 15-second chart, but it's a pullback. It's a pullback of this move, right? So, all right, I don't like the way that looks. I'm going to bang this out. And I'll get back in if I get the buy signal, right? So why take the risk? We may pull right back into the support level, right? Which, look, what we're trying to do. All right, no problem. And you say, well, you should be going short then, right? Into a support level. If my bigger structure was bearish momentum, then I'd be more open to it. But this could be a pullback, and I don't want to short the bottom of the pullback. This type of situation can be tricky, and you can find yourself in this situation a lot. You have to pick a side, and at some point, you have to change. For me, that point, we haven't reached that point yet, right? If we break this support, then I'll be more open to change. Because you can argue and say, oh, you're fighting the market. You're being stubborn. Am I fighting the market? I may be fighting this momentum here, but we're fooling around at a support. And we determine that the bigger picture is still generally bullish, right, for this time frame. So this is the kind of stuff you have to deal with on the day trade time frames. And it's hard. And especially if it's changing constantly. All right, I may get a signal here. There it is. All right, I'm buying 2. Man, I can't even buy this thing fast enough. The signal came on that blue line, and I bought it up here. Okay? The signal was on the blue line, but I couldn't press the button fast enough. So I got a bad price. And you can see here, these 15-second movements. All right, so we're at the profit objective. We just got there in like one jump. All right, can we do a little bit better than that? I'm going to prepare to sell. It's not really worth much. I'm just respecting the levels and the orders here. I'm trying to see if we can get this, maybe get a move going here. Maybe we can pop up into this area. Now, in a situation like this where I'm like, man, this isn't really a great profit objective, I can change that. Okay, I can just go to my TradeScanner Pro settings and I can change the reward ratio to 2 to 1, and I'll get a 2 to 1 reward risk ratio. Or I could change that to whatever I want. But since you shouldn't be working on such small time frames, there's usually no reason to change it. But like in a situation like this, where we're like, all right, I'd like to have a higher price objective. At least I could change it to 2 to 1 or something like that. You have that choice. But for beginners, don't even bother. No need. Don't overcomplicate things. All right, so we're just looking at erratic price action still. If we can get beyond this little point right there, perhaps we get like a little bit of a push, maybe. Like maybe we get something like this. If we can get something like that, I will unload my first lot. That's the plan. If we don't get that and we go straight to the stop, I got to bang out both of them. So again, we're still not at the support level. But look, we keep getting closer to it, and there's buying activity. There's buying attempts, right? This is a buying attempt. This was also a buying attempt. They're not going anywhere. There's no follow through, but these are attempts. Clearly, we get these vertical moves, right, on this time frame. That's what buying looks like. Whether that's someone covering, whatever it is, it's buying activity. Compared to something like this, which is not really. Right, these little movements that don't add up to anything. So let's see if we can get a nice little pop up to a little pop, and then I'll get out. I'll start getting out. I'll get out of one. You know, I'm looking for something like this. That's what I'm looking for. Something like that. Again, I don't know if we'll get it. So I'm not forecasting. I'm just certainly not looking for that. I'm just letting the Trade Scanner Pro tell me what to do. And that is I either exit here or I'm exiting up here somewhere. I don't like this candle at all. But it's erratic. Let's let it do its thing. I'll prepare to get out. You can set your stops like automatically. Like you can set them in your platform. As a day trader, usually it depends on the situation, but usually I just bang it out manually. It depends on the situation, though. It's better to place the stop loss. It's better to have the stop loss in the market because you may have a situation where some news comes out and the market jumps. And you want to make sure if you don't have a stop loss in that, you get stuck. So we see that all the time, especially in this environment where some tariff news comes out of nowhere and the market jumps literally 15, 20 points. I'm talking like the S&Ps in literally a minute, which is big. That's the amount of money that has to move that thing 15 or 20 points in 1 minute is a lot of money. I'm not exaggerating. Okay, 1 minute. All right, I'm gonna have to bang this out. Not looking good here. I'll give it. It has to let it touch the stop, and I'll bang it out. Sometimes, seeing it's giving me another warning to go long. So in a situation like this, I may bang it out. All right, respect it, bang it out. Don't take the risk. We may get another signal here, right? So far, we had this signal, went nowhere. This signal went nowhere. We're getting another one, potential signal here. I'm going to try to buy it again. This time, I'm going to try to buy it as soon as the signal appears. That could be a double bottom. Let's see. So it's good for you to see like a slow environment like this that's kind of tough to deal with because you may be dealing with this. And it's not easy. All right. Signal maybe in the next candle. Let's see. I'm not going to take it early. Wait for the signal. Candles change fast. 1 minute, that thing was green, right? That thing was looking good. Look at that. Now we're getting into the support area. Now we're getting close, really close to it. So double bottoms, failed lows. This is really where, you know, there should be the most interest in the signal. Notice the trend is bearish. Let's check my 1 minute real quick. Anything here? Oh, look, there was a long signal called on the 1 minute. Interesting. Okay. And it looks like it's going to stop out soon. All right. So I'm back to my 15 second. I'll take this long again if we get it. We're getting heads up. We're getting the warnings. That's what these green columns are. I know I'm at the support level. Let's see if I get the confirmation. So imagine you would be using the same process for the swing trade like I described earlier. Now, the thing is, I'm in counter trend mode, so I'm trying to get the better price. As you can see, it's tricky, and I lose a bunch of money doing it this way. The more conservative thing to do would be to wait until this turns bullish again and then start taking signals. That's what I should be doing. Or I should say, that's the more conservative way to go about it, because that means this will bounce, right? In order for the trend to go long again, that means this bounces. I miss that, right? It tries to pull back and then continues, and I'm looking for this signal here. Hopefully by that time the trend turns bullish and I get the first pullback, right? That's the conservative way to go about it. Notice, sorry, this is breaking. That doesn't look good. So I'll try one more along. So, and again, also, this is why confirmation is so important. Right? I may have, without waiting for confirmation, I may have bought here, I may have bought there, I may be stuck in this thing. 5 minutes says trend is bearish, but trade signal is long. Okay. Trend is bearish. 5 minutes says trend is bearish, but trade signal is long, and I am not on counter trend mode. I don't understand. That could be an old trade. Let's see. Here's the 5 minute. I don't have a trade on mine. 5 minute. I'm in counter trend mode. Let me turn that off. I don't have a trade on mine, Sam. I don't know why you have a trade. This is just, there's nothing here. That's strange. Your 5 minute says trend is bearish. Oh, the trend is bearish. That is correct. Signal is long, but I don't have a signal. Maybe that's an old signal. Maybe that's from back here. Maybe it's still long from back here. I don't know. That's strange. So with this support break taking place, let's switch back to the bigger picture and see what's happening here. It's off. Okay. Yeah, I'm confused, Sam. I'm not sure what you mean. Maybe you can clarify. So it looks like we're breaking this support. Should I be going short here? I still hesitate to go short. Yes, we have a lower high over here, but there's no lower low just yet. So these situations can be tricky. I still have to lean on the long side, even though I'd be fighting this momentum. All right. So I can, again, conservative, I can stay out and wait until a long signal appears. Let's switch back over to the smaller time frame here. Let's go back. Let's take a look at like a 30-second. I can switch and wait until I start getting long signals, or I can try to be aggressive and look for these counter trend, right? So I'm trying to find the counter trend. A lot of attempts that are failing. So my plan here at this point, again, I tried all of these trades. Right? I took this one, I took this one, and they failed. I took some other ones. This is a 30-second, right? I took some other ones on the 15-second. I'll take one more, and if it doesn't work, that's it. Because this break may not, even though this is a break, there's no precision here. How many times you see it break, go a little bit lower, and then run up in your face, right? So I'm willing to give it a chance one more time. Make sure I'm set up. All right, let's take the 15-second. And oh, there was a signal there. There's a signal on the 30-second and on the 15-second. All right, bought that one. All right, higher time frame says bearish, like 1 hour. Well, the time frames are going to be bearish because the momentum is pulling back. So the time frames are going to be bearish. Right? Like if we look at the hourly, here's the hourly over here. Let me turn this on. Right? It's bearish. But the thing is, Sam, don't rely on that. You want to look at, I'm looking at this structure. This structure is not bearish. Higher low, higher high, higher low. This is a lower high, but I'm not relying on this trend to tell me the trend. I see, yeah, there's a short signal on the hourly, but I'm not working on the hourly. Don't be confused, right? I'm not working on the hourly. I'm looking for day trades. That's why I'm looking for what I'm looking for. And that's why I'm betting on the support level and all that stuff, right? That's why I'm playing that game. I'm getting my trend idea. My trade idea has come from this structure, not what the trend is. It came from the structure and then the levels relative to that structure. You understand that? I know that can be confusing. So if you're confused, let me know, and hopefully I can clarify it further. So I got this long. Now this one's at the profit objective now. Let's see. I could sell one. Oh, that's what I want to see. Okay, sold one. Nice little pop through. That's what I like to see. Now you see what I mean? This is an aggressive move higher. Good thing I wasn't shorting that. This will mislead you into shorting if you don't understand your plan and your bigger picture. You'll short right into this. Good thing I wasn't shorting it. Okay, so Sam, you're confused? Okay, so if you're answering yes, if you're saying you're confused, then okay, so remember, like before, I said we want to come up with a trade idea from our bigger picture. We're looking at trend and we're looking at levels. Now, trend, I'm deriving from the structure. That should clear up your confusion. This structure is not bearish. This structure is not bearish. That's where my trend. Now, the Trade Scanner Pro can't see that. That's why the Trade Scanner Pro is looking at an even bigger picture. That's why it's saying bearish up there. But I'm looking for day trades. Where the trend is going to be most relevant on the action time frame, the time frame where you're looking to take trades. Oh, you understand? Okay, cool. Okay, I don't have to go through that whole explanation. But yeah, for people that may not understand that, the trend idea, right? The trend thing, trend is bullish, trend is bearish. That is relevant only to the time frame that you're looking to take action on, right? When you're getting, it's not really to be used for trade ideas, especially with day trades. Grego, is there any video on how to integrate these buy, market, sell signals buttons for fast trades, or can you name the future so I can search it myself? Is there a video on how to integrate these buy, market, sell, market buttons? That's a good question. I don't know. Maybe there's a way to set up hotkeys. That's going to depend on the platform. I mean, I'm using the practice account here on TradingView, so I don't think it's going to be relevant on TradingView. It's going to depend on your platform where you're taking these trades. What platform are you using? Because something like that is going to be platform specific, but a lot of platforms have something called hotkeys. And you could set up assigned hotkeys. So you press a button on your keyboard and it places an order. Binance. So you would have to look into Binance and see if you could set up hotkeys. I don't know. I'm not very familiar with, I don't use Binance, so I'm not familiar with their platform. You would need hotkeys. That would be one way to do it. Otherwise, I wouldn't know. Integrate these buy and sell market buttons. You know what? With TradingView, if you can integrate your TradingView platform with Binance, which I believe you can set up buy and sell buttons up here, and you can try that and trade off the chart. I'm not a big fan of that, but you can. That may be another consideration. You can right-click and place a trade that way, right? Trade. See, look. You can do that if you're integrated through TradingView. I'm not a big fan of the integration, by the way. I've experimented with that a bit too. I don't know. Maybe I'm just old school that way, but maybe those are some ideas. Maybe you also try Googling it or YouTubing it. Maybe other people have solutions. I hope that helps. Good question. All right, so here's the Trade Scanner Pro magic, right? The market gave me a nice trade. Look at this. So It's way beyond my profit objective. I'm on the 30-second chart. My risk is now at break even. My initial risk was 36 points. Again, nothing for Bitcoin, nothing. I'm at break even, so this is a risk-free trade. My first profit objective is 54 points, which is not much. But look where we are now. This is what I'm talking about. We could not forecast this. There is no way we could see this coming. But I knew enough to look for longs. I had to fight a few longs a little bit, right? There were some attempts. This attempt failed. This attempt failed. I banged them out. And then you get the winner. Okay? And this thing may still turn to garbage, but I'm going to give it a chance. I locked in one, and let's see what happens. But we're nicely beyond the profit objective, right? So let's just see, what is the reward risk? The risk again was what? What was it, 30 points? 39 points. All right, so 40 points. What is the where we are now? Let's see, the highest point was 139 points at the peak. So I risked 40 points, and at the peak of this move, I could have locked in 140 points. Not bad for 40 points of risk. What is that? 40, 80? It's like a little over 3 to 1. It's like 3.5 to 1, something like that. Right? Because 40, 80, 120, 160 would be 4 to 1. Right? If I can get 160, I'm at 4 to 1. 4 to 1 is pretty good. But this is where now the Trade Scanner Pro guides me. I no longer have to think anymore. I'm going to erase this blue line. That was a support line. So we rallied off the support eventually. You see how it broke the support? Was over here where this blue line is. That was where the support was. We broke that support. Good thing I wasn't in a rush to go short, because I would be screwed right now. Right? But instead, I'm long. Someone went short over here. And it's people who use things like the RSI. That's who gets short over here. That's who short this. Okay? People who don't have the perspective, and they're chasing and they're reacting to what they see. My trailing stop is now almost at my profit objective. So I may give some money back here, and I'm willing to give it back in order to capture more. That's how the trailing stop works, really, right? If we pull back, I still make something, just not as much. All right, who cares? It's still green. But if the market randomly runs, I'm in a winner. I'm in a much bigger winner than I normally would capture. So like right now, I'm at 1.5 to 1 if I get out at the trailing stop. 1.5 to 1. I'm at 3.5 to 1 if I get out up here. But I'm going to let it run. That's the whole idea. Let your winner run. The trailing stop, that's the purpose of this, to let the winner run to capture more. This all started with the plan of being long, which we came up with earlier. You saw how I came up with that. Go back, review the video if you find that confusing. Coming up with the idea, knowing what side to work on, is the key to the whole thing. And then waiting for your signal. I was in counter trend mode, right? Looking for this. That's the only way I could get this good price, in counter trend mode. If I was not in counter trend mode, I would have to wait until this becomes bullish again, and then wait for signals on the long side. And I would have missed this entire move. But it's more conservative. At least I'd be on the right side. Because, you know, we bounced off the support, and now I'd be looking for long signals after the support bounce. That's the conservative way to go about it. So yes, it takes a lot longer, right? We haven't even turned bullish yet on this time frame. Make sense? So those are the two ways you can capture, you know, a move like this. My trailing stop is now beyond my profit objective. Okay. Now keep in mind, one candle can just pull back and touch that trailing stop. We're kind of stuck up here. All right, whatever. Let the market do its thing. I don't have to analyze anything. I don't have to think about anything. I just have my reference points. That's it. If the market wants to randomly run and do something stupid and run up here somewhere, hey, whatever, man. I don't care. I'm in it. I may have, without the Trade Scanner Pro, I may have gotten out over here on this red candle. Oh, red candle. I better get out. Right? And there's no reason to get out. There's many times where it'll tap me out on the trailing stop. I get out. It turns right around and goes higher. Happens all the time. Well, not all the time, but it happens. All right. Any questions? So if you want to try out the Trade Scanner Pro, there's a link in the description. I mean, I could show you real quick while I'm going to watch this trade. So there's a link. It'll take you to the Trade Scanner Pro page. Right here, real quick. It looks like that. And it explains what it is and tells you about me. It takes you over here, and you can register for your 14-day free trial. Right? You click on that button, and it takes you to the sign-up page. Make sure you put your TradingView username properly in here. If you don't, you will not get an invite. So make sure you do that, and then you're in. You'll get your invite after about 30 minutes to 1 hour. You get your invite on the platform. You can then add the script to your chart. Make sure that you go into your settings panel and turn on the trailing stop, this one, the show previous trades, and the heads up. Otherwise, you're not getting the full features, right? You got to turn those on. Counter trend, you can leave off because I showed you how that works, right? And that's tricky. All right, so I'm going to respect it. I'm going to get out, and that's it. Tapped out. So let's see. Let's look back at the results here. So that wasn't worth that much. $68, $69, $85. Am I net green or what? I can't even tell. $88. Is that today? Yes, today. So 88 minus 41, that's 40. Minus 20, that's 20. Minus 85, that's like minus 60. Minus 20, it's like 100. 120 plus 70. And 70, it's 140. That's basically about break even. I mean, it's not really, there's no significant profit there because I put commissions in those calculations. That's what all those little $10, this minus $10 things are. Those are commissions. I have them calculated in this. It's paper. It's a paper account, but I have that calculated in there. All right, just to kind of make it a little more realistic. So basically, I made back the money that I gave, that I gave to the market over here. I made it back in this move. All right. What am I going to do? It's better than just getting hammered all day. So that's a good demonstration. I'm not going to force it. I don't like the way this market is moving. I may get another signal here. I'm getting the heads up. But before I even do anything, let's just take a look. What's going on here on the bigger picture? What's going on? Nothing really. We have a lower high. We have a higher low attempt. That bounce came right in this area here, right? Which was an area that we were anticipating. I erased the line. We had a line there. Remember the line we had there? I erased it because I wanted to, for more clarity on the script, so you could see the buy price. But we were anticipating buying there, and it came. Okay, so in this situation now, here. So let's just do this. We'll talk for a few more minutes. Instead of me being aggressive and taking counter trend, I'm going to turn counter trend off. Okay. And with counter trend off, you can see it's actually looking for short trades. I'm not interested in short trades. So even though short trades may appear, I shouldn't take those because remember, this blue line is support. Now, if I wanted to be conservative with this, and this is what you should do, like remember that trade, that swing trade example that I gave you earlier with, the 93K area, whatever it was, and then waiting for the long signal. This is what you should be doing because when it tests the area, your time frame, the trend on your time frame, like 30-minute, whatever, is going to be bearish. So instead of, you can either do counter trend, like I said, which is confusing if you're a beginner, or we can wait until this turns back to bullish on my time frame. that I'm looking to take the trade on. When this turns back to bullish, then I wait for my next signal. That can take a long time, especially if you're on a 30-minute chart or a 15-minute chart. It can take hours. It can take an entire day before you get that signal. And you say, well, again, that's a long time. Yeah. So you set your notifications. Set your notification, right? Like I showed you before. Set notification and then walk away. That's all you have to do. Set the notification. And then you can get your email, whatever, your pop-up on your platform, whatever it is, and you could be doing something else. And when you get your signal, you're good to go. That's the best way to go about it, not sitting in front of your computer. So if I was going to sit here and wait for a long signal, now, so we're on the 30-second. I mean, I could check my 1 minute. It's probably going to be bearish too. Is it? Yep, it's bearish too. Okay, so nothing there. 15-second. Anything here? This one's bullish. Okay, look, this one's bullish. I can wait for the signal here on the 15-second. Does that make sense? That's where you have to jump around time frames. I do not recommend these sub 1 minute time frames. I'm just showing you an example. So if we were going to be conservative, remember, I took the long over here. That was from counter trend. What a great price that was, right? Now I'm waiting for a pullback to go long. I would have missed all this. I got out and the trailing stop got me out over here somewhere. Remember? Trailing stop got me out over here. And now I'm waiting for a long on this small time frame. You had some previous reds over here again because the trend was still bearish. Oh, look, is that a long? Oh, no, it turned. Look, this thing just turned. This thing just turned bearish again. Okay, no good. I'm not looking for shorts. And we talked about why. And I'm not going to switch yet. Now, we can go to a 5-second chart, which is going to be ridiculous. But let's take a look anyway. Trend is going to be bullish on the 5-second. Remember, when trend changes, when the momentum changes, it's always going to happen on the smaller time frames first. So if I get a long signal on here, because I'm not in counter trend mode, there we go. There's a long signal. These are going to be very erratic, though. I'll try one just for the fun of it. I'll try one. But these are going to be very, very erratic. On a 5-second chart, this is going to be ridiculous. I mean, look at this. Look at the stop on this thing. 7.5 points. It's like the spread on some platforms. Like that's ridiculous. I just took it because it was a pullback, all right, and signal. So look, it's through the profit objective in 2 candles. Like that's just it's nonsense. But all right, so I'm in the trade. Let's just take a look at the 15-second. Anything here? This is going to be all over the place. This is going to be all over the place. See, look, the trade's even stopped out. All right. So let's not waste my time with this. It's minus $16. That's nothing. But that's the idea. I would want to see a long signal like this to go long, but on a 15-second chart. Is this the 15-second? Oh, but that's a short signal. See? Don't be confused. The trend is bearish. It's looking for shorts. I'm not looking for shorts. Your idea is going to carry more weight than these signals. This could be a random signal as far as I'm concerned. And it's giving us a short into this support level. If you want to take it, it's highly aggressive. You can, but I'm more interested in the longs. And this momentum is bearish. So I'm trying to be conservative. You understand the conservative view? You're being more selective with the signals that you take. And you're waiting for the momentum to line up with your idea, which our idea is bullish. So this is an important lesson, especially for the next couple of days, because we're going to have situations like with the Chairman Powell testimony and the CPI report, where you're going to see some dramatic changes very quickly, and you're going to want to be more selective with your entries and your trades anyway, especially if you're working on smaller time frames, because things can change very quickly. Does that make sense? So what would I do here? Nothing. This thing, if I'm right about the long, this should stop out. If I want to look for longs in this pullback, because I'm impatient, I would go back to counter trend mode. and that trade should vanish, right? And now I'm looking for longs again. Okay. So do you understand the benefit of counter trend mode versus regular mode, right? I'm going to take counter trend mode off. That short signal is still there. Also, do you understand how not to be confused by something like this? Because we should not be taking shorts in front of a support level when the general trend that we've determined from that structure on the 1 minute, on the 1 hour, we've determined that the structure is generally bullish. I don't want to be shorting supports on something that's bullish. So do you see like how this Trade Scanner Pro signal would not be a good one to take? Right now, like I would like to be able to have the script automatically filter that out, but I just don't know where how we would even begin to code something like that. That's where you have to use your own judgment. Okay? But this is not a good place for a short. And that's a good learning exercise because you should know that. This is not a good place for a short, and I'm getting short signal. Ignore the short signal. Look for longs. That's why we come up with our trade idea first. We don't look for signals first. Does that make sense? All right, so I don't see anything in the chat. Any questions? Any questions? I don't see any questions. So you guys know where to find the Trade Scanner Pro. Again, there's a link in the description. It'll take you to the page that I showed you earlier. I'll type it in over here. Any questions? That's the link. If you just put this in your browser, that'll take you there. And you can then start running this. I would suggest you paper trade with it. Like I said before, start out with your 4-hour and your 30-minute and look for trades that way on your bigger picture. Set your notifications. If you really want that rigorous, oh, it stopped out just like we thought, right? If you want to be more rigorous, do what I'm doing here. Work with the smaller time frames, right? We're expecting longs here. I should not now look, my trend turned bullish up here. Okay, great. And this is my 15-second. So now I should be waiting for long signals. Next long signal, I should be all about it. And a 15-second, let's see the 30-second. Anything on there? Still bearish. Okay, no good. So 15 seconds. I'll work with the 15-second. So you guys see that? I could ask when the Lambo, but I really want to know. Yeah, I'm still. I called the rental company. They hung up on me. So no fancy car yet. I also called up a girl. She hung up on me too. It's the way things are these days. What do you want from me? I'm in Jersey. So so UTXO, question about the decentralized exchange. I'm still, like I talked about it a little bit earlier. There's a few things I don't like about the one I'm working with, like the fact that I have to take out the base currency that I'm using, which is Arbitrum. If I leave that in the exchange, that the value of the Arbitrum is constantly, it's like being in a position. It's fluctuating. It doesn't go back to USDC or whatever. So in order to do that, I need to take it out of the exchange. I need to withdraw it from the exchange, put it back into my wallet, and then I need to change it back to USDC or whatever if I want to actually be flat, which is a pain. It's a huge pain to do all of that just to be flat. Otherwise, you just stay exposed, right? Because the Arbitrum fluctuates with Bitcoin. So if Bitcoin pulls back 10,000 points, you open up your wallet and you're like, how am I losing money? I'm not in any positions. Oh, I am in a position. I'm in the base currency, which is Arbitrum. So that's kind of a drawback. Not happy about that. Well, Sam, are those decentralized? Because well, look at this getting hammered. Um, the one that I've been experimenting with is decentralized, and it allows me to use it with a VPN, so I don't have to go that KYC nonsense because I'm in the U.S. You're in the U.S. too, so I guess if you can use those, they must be friendly for US. Do you have to use a VPN? I'll check them out. KYC is yeah, you could thank the World Economic Forum or whoever, those European regulators. Yeah, that's where it comes from. Well, actually, the pressure comes from the exchanges here, the CME. They don't want us, they don't want the competition. Otherwise, we could trade CFDs. What do we need the CME for? That's where it comes from. So, yeah, and then they all follow like a bunch of, sheep. They all follow the guidelines. Yes, that's right. That is correct. No VPN? Ah, interesting. Okay, Sam, thanks. Thank you for the suggestion. I will take a look. I heard of one of them. I'll take a closer look. Maybe they're a better choice than the one I've been messing with. I don't like to mention names because I don't want to steer people the wrong way. So, a lot of these things they're very hard to trust. So, I'm very careful. I don't want to have an FTX situation where I tell everyone, "Hey, look, use this one," and then they pull an FTX. Right? I really don't want that. Other frauds on YouTube, they don't care. They don't care if 10,000 of their followers lose all of their money. It wasn't my fault. You should have done your own homework, right? I don't like to do that. I'm not like these clowns. So anyway, thank you for the suggestions. I will research those. I will look into those and see. Maybe those are good choices. All right. So interesting price action. Back to the support. Okay. So we never got the on this time frame, on the 15-second, I never got my follow through. I never got my conservative signal. I never got it. So I haven't been going long, right? Now I probably the longs would be on the counter trend side here. Do you understand how counter trend is riskier in these situations? Is this thing bearish yet? Not exactly. It's conflicted here. It's trying. When would I start shorting this thing? Well, we'd have to really clear through this area and really demonstrate that this thing is weak. Like we get like a sharp candle, like something like that on the hourly, where it really gets hammered. Then at that point, now you can say, well, you missed all that. Yeah, I'm willing to miss that because markets transition, and that's where we lose money, is during the transitions. If this is transitioning to bearish, I would rather miss a whole bunch of that to make sure that I don't start shorting something too early. It's always during these transitions where you lose the money. When there's a clear-cut trend, it's a lot easier to make money, right? Would you agree? Since you have a YouTube, you can apply to get a commission. I appreciate that, Sam. Well, I'm not quick to do the affiliate thing anyway. If I find one, what I filter out when I go through these like when I check out these decentralized exchanges, it's not for affiliate purposes. It's for I want to actually find something that's useful for me and that I could share with everyone else without getting a commission. And if it's useful for me and it's useful for everyone else, then eventually, but I appreciate that though. Appreciate you letting me know. But I'm certainly not like in a hurry for those. And in fact, these commissions, by the way, they usually stink. Unless you have like 100,000 followers or whatever, then maybe it could be worthwhile. But for me, they get rich off of the few clients that I send them. I use Phoenix. It's centralized, but a VPN. Okay, I think you don't necessarily care. Oh, interesting. I looked into them. And I thought you had to do KYC. Maybe it changed. I'm familiar with them. I've heard of them. I'll look into them again. I thought because they were centralized, I thought they required that. But okay. No VPN. You don't necessarily need KYC. All right. I'll research that one as well. Thanks, Milad. So I have some homework to do for next week. I'll check into these. See what I mean about the short? See what I mean? Now let's just take a look here. Let's go back to counter trend mode. Let's just see. Was there a signal there? Oh, there was. Look. There was a signal. I'm not in it. Interesting, right? So we're still fooling around the support area. It's the location that guides you, not the signals itself. I wanted to see that confirmation. There it is. Another long. There was another. This one probably stopped out. Let's see. What does that say there? Minus 20 pips. All right. So we won't even count this one here. But this one was a nice little right off the bottom. Interesting. So I think there's some pretty good demonstrations here. And this is a tough situation because there's not a clear-cut trend. We're sitting here struggling or fighting at a support level, and you can easily get misled when you get these dramatic movements that look bearish, but it's not really bearish. When you're sitting on a support level in something that has a bullish structure. This is a bullish structure. If this was a bearish structure, this would be another story. But this isn't a bearish structure. So in this situation, if I'm going to go short, I prefer price to at least be there or up here, right? At least, not the support level, unless we break all the supports and we retest. Do you understand that contrast? This is a very valuable lesson when it comes, especially when it comes to intraday. Look at that move, man. Too bad I'm not in that. And the hourly, it looks like nothing on the hourly. Look at that. It's just a pin bar developing. The trend just turned bullish on here. See that? So you understand now why I was arguing against that short. All right. All right, you guys. So I've been talking enough time here. Man, I'm talking almost 2 hours. You guys got to stop me. But we saw some nice examples. We see how the Trade Scanner Pro works, and I hope that you can get some value out of this. If anything, even if you don't subscribe, if anything, you can at least get some idea of how to deal with these intraday movements and how I come up with the perspective and based on the information that we're looking at. If you notice, I don't have any oscillators. I don't have any fancy things on my chart. I'm just looking at levels and trend. Like I said before, that's all you need. And you can come up with a trade idea. Then the Trade Scanner Pro confirms it or not. No KYC, but some features may not work. Okay. Okay, cool, Milad. Thanks for sharing. So I'll definitely check out the platform and see if it makes sense, in terms of costs and all that stuff. I'll take a look at it. But hey, all you guys know, I mean, he shared it with you. So if you want to check it out, again, not getting any commissions. Thanks, Milad, for sharing that. All right, cool, guys. So I don't see any other questions. Check the links in the description. If you want to try the Trade Scanner Pro out for 14 days, you have a free trial for 14 days. If you don't intend to subscribe, cancel it before the 14 days. Don't send me an email saying you forgot to cancel it, because I'm not going to refund. There's no refunds. So please, you have 14 days. Don't take advantage of me. A lot of people try to do that. All right. So anyway, all right. So I'm going to remove that link. You see the link on the screen there. All right, everyone. So thanks again. And if you have any questions or you need to find me somewhere, you can send me an email at mark@markpremarkets.com. You can also, man, look at this thing. You can also send me a message on TradingView. I usually get to those messages pretty quick. And that's that. If I ever send you a message on any platform, or Alex sends you a message, or Stian sends you a message, it's a fake. Just to remind you, we don't send out messages asking you for money or anything like that. So if you get a strange message, it's fake. Block the person, report the person, all that stuff, and please don't get scammed. All right. And by the way, let's see, is that a short signal? Yeah, no short signals here. What a move. And I missed it. All right, but you see, and the Trade Scanner called it too. All right, you guys. So thanks again. Enjoy the rest of your day, the rest of your evening. All right. Yeah. Hold on. Okay. Enjoy the rest of your day, the rest of your evening, wherever you are in the world. And thanks again for watching.